also going to record us. Marvellous.
Got it.
Oh, so welcome. I know we've just had a little chat, Paul, so saying welcome feels a little bit false, but welcome not only to you, darling, but to all the lovely viewers that we'll have live and also watching on catch up, because we're going to talk about one of my favourite subjects, which is the great outdoors. But in order to, we'll introduce you. We don't actually know each other, do we? However, we have got a lot in common, and not to the naked eye. We were born in the same hospital.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not in the same year. One of us is older than the other. I'll leave it for people to guess. We have a love of dogs. You've got two dogs, Malcolm Pete. And Pete.
Yeah. Sounds like I'm taking my mates to the pub when I go out with them.
I'm going out with Malcolm Pete. Oh, can I join? No. And you've lived in York.
Yeah, I have.
You're from Oldham.
Mm-hmm.
And we love mountain walking and walking, although you are much more dedicated than me. So, and I don't even know how we know each other. We became friends on Facebook, didn't we? God knows how.
I don't know how.
You must have seen my picture and thought, she looks mad as a box of frogs. I'll be friends with her. Or the other way around. Maybe I did it to you. Yeah, maybe I did it to you. Who knows? But I'm glad of it anyway. So let's start off with getting to know you a little bit, because we've had a chat, and we were recording it. I lost the recording, but we've had a chat already, and I could have talked to you all day, because we have a similar mindset about some things. But you, we're going to go back to the olden days. So
it's a long time ago. It's a long time.
When you started work before you got up. So you left school and joined the 16 years old and joined the army. And whilst I know, and I'm very interested in it, I'm sure people that are watching want to know, what made you join the army? What did you do in the army? What did you like about it? What did you not like about it? And how's it shaped who you are today? You can answer any of those or none of those, or pick what you want to say.
Well, the first thing I'll say is, like, you know, even though I'm out of the army and I've seen a lot of things, I've done a lot of things, I would do it again tomorrow in a heartbeat, because it made me the grounded person I am today. So obviously I was 16 years old, thought I knew it all. I had a big head of hair then as well.
Big head of hair.
I had a big head of hair. And, you know, I had 1 year's worth of basic training at 16 years old, and it turned me into a man immediately. So, you know, they really knock you into shape. Now, it might be a cliche, should bring back, you know, service for 2 years for 16-year-olds. I believe in it. Will it happen? No, it won't happen. But it really does turn you into man and bring you into this sense of teamwork, belonging. You know, even if you're not going to do it as a career, it's just one of them things I would always do again. Basic training at the time is horrible.
Is it?
You know, even in the modern not being able to bully or not being able to shout at people age, you know, it's not Full Metal Jacket or anything like that by any stretch of the imagination, but they do strip you down to bring you back up. So when you look back, you see there's a logic in basic training and being hell. But
what do you think there is about it that would benefit our 16, 17-year-olds? Bearing in mind that we are of an era of discipline. I love that.
Discipline. And one of the things that when you don't realize until you look back that you're taught through all these different ways and means that other people matter. Yeah. And teamwork matters. So, I mean, I'll fast forward a bit to what we'll talk about later, but as soon as I got out, working in a civilian office with people that have never been through that was hard, really hard, because people didn't care about the work. They just cared about 4:30 and going to the pub, which, you know, we all enjoy to do, but it's that, you know, we're all going to get in trouble if this isn't done. It's just that, you know, it's little things like that, and camaraderie, which is the one thing I miss about the army. If anyone says, what do you miss? It's the camaraderie, basically. But on the flip side, when you spent so many years of working, living, sleeping, and eating with the same people, you want something else. So, which is why I got out in my 30s. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, but during the time, I mean, when you think back, you think, oh, I've done that. I've been there. I've been there. I've been there. I've done that. Oh, I've done that. I did that in the army. And it was just, you just get flashbacks to the last year. You always remember the good things about things that happened in your past, no matter how traumatizing it is.
I think because we were talking that I was married, I had a husband who was in the Air Force, and what I love about that culture, say culture, because kind of cross, culture is the banter. And when I mean banter, I mean the ability just to make light of things, you know, to take something that's very dark and very painful and then just lift it with lightness, with humor, with flippancy, as if, you know, and it's a real coping mechanism, isn't it? It's essential. Otherwise,
it is, and it's got me through life, but it's also got me into a few troubles.
Trouble.
I mean, in the army, even if, you know, I won't swing the light bulb and say, oh, I did this and shot this and did that. You know, it's not always like that. But you do go through some traumatic situations. So I was a medic to start with. And as a 19-year-old, I was thrown into helping with postmortems. And I didn't know I was going to be doing that morning. I went into work. My officer, the doctor, said, right, you're in helping out, you know, with a postmortem on someone that died last night. I was like, you know, I wasn't geared for it. I'd gone in to do another boring day of giving vaccinations to people. But that was, but I always remember the person that was doing the point. He must have seen it on my face as a young 18, 19-year-old, whatever age I was. And he just went, right, this is how you deal with this. And it was humor, absolute humor. And then as you go through your time in the army, you realize that banter, humor, you know, like nicknames, you know, that wouldn't be allowed in school or anything like that. But it's just part of it. I mean, I'm not talking about offensive nicknames.
No,
it's just that banter, humor gets you through it.
Yeah.
And again, that is one thing that can be difficult when you come out of the army, because people think you don't care about it.
Yeah.
But I'm not getting stressed about it because it's done. All we've got a problem that needs a solution, but we'll have a laugh about it while we do it. And it freaks people out, that kind of attitude sometimes.
But I also think
squaddy with it. You can spot an ex-military person if they go through adversity with humor.
Yeah, yeah. But I also think what it does is if you are in a critical position on the front line, or whatever words you use, and you're wallowing in something, then you're massively distracted. So you need your camaraderie to snap you out of it, so you get present and focused. And but then you can go away later and lick your wounds. But right now it's
you've got a job to do. You've got a problem and a solution, and you know, let's get through it with positivity, because anything else you just slow it. I mean, that's another thing. Obviously, there are situations in army life that could be needed, you know, as a group of people. So for instance, you know, say you've got a section of 8 blokes, you know, just as in civilian life, 2 people might hate each other. You know, they might fight down the pub and never speak to each other. But in that given moment, the drill kicks in, the mates, the camaraderie, because one life depends on the other.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter, you know.
I guess that's the difference in civilian life and in army life, isn't it? Or military life, that regardless of who it is, we take care of each other. In civilian life, there are occasions where people would think, I'm not having anything to do with it. I'm not going to help that person out. It's their karma or their comeuppance or something. But that's just not the way.
It's not. It's not. You don't wish ill. I mean, it's like, you know, squaddies in towns get into scrapes and stuff like that. And I've seen 2 people. You know, it's one of them. So, you know, I'm not saying it's right that soldiers get in fights with civilians, but it's just like civilians getting fights in the pubs with civilians as well. But say 2 soldiers hate each other, and a bunch of civilians jumped one of them. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
then the other one would jump in and help the bloke.
Yeah, it is absolutely. I would say that the connection with military camaraderie is thicker than blood. I know they say the blood's thicker than water, but I think it's thicker than that. So then you came out. What made you come out? And not come. Hang on, right? Hang on. That's a nasty rumor. Well, not a nasty rumor. It's a rumor that's not true. That's about to go viral. What made you leave the army? Not come out?
Well, basically, an army career is either 22 years or you get out a lot sooner. So, you know, I got to like the 12, 13-year point, and it was getting to the point where you were going away for 6 months, coming back for a few months, then getting ready to go somewhere else. Because there was, at that time, you know, we'd just done Iraq 2, Afghanistan was ongoing, you know, you had the remnants of other places, and it's just like, you know, when you're in your 20s, it's like, yeah, gung-ho, yeah, this is the job I want to do. I want to join the army, see the world, even though it was a big period of seeing the bad side of the world. Yeah, I mean, I saw, you know, I was based in Gibraltar for a while. That was good. You know, you get the good things, but you just get to a point where you think, am I doing the next 7, 8 years just for the sake of it and that pension? Or am I going to do something else in my life? So you do a bit of navel gazing, and that's what I did. I was like, no, you know what? I'm not going to do that final third, because that's all I'll be doing, just coming in and going away. And I want to do something new.
So then
it was a bit spontaneous, actually. Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Then you came out and did what? You went from action man to
sitting in an office and admin.
Eating biscuits.
Yeah, eating lots of biscuits, putting a lot of weight on. In fact, I put 5 stone on, 5, 6 stone.
That's
in
remarkable.
A few months, because I was sedentary and sitting on a train for 45 minutes to Manchester. And it was just, yeah. And it, again, I on top of that, I was trying to cope with the change of the way people are on a team. I.e., you know, it's all about backstabbing more than doing the work. And I'm like, don't get me wrong, there's always, you know, backstabbing in the army, but there's a lot more up front, you know, to your face, that I was used to. Whereas this was just like, it's like, I don't want to do any work. This is the way I saw civilian work when I got out. It was like, I don't want to do any work, but that person's making me look bad. So I'm going to swing around and make that person below me. And I was like, what? Just look after yourself. Energy. I know. It's like, oh, I'll just come in and do my work and go home. So I kind of like, because in the army, I think I moved on average every 18 months to 2 years to a different place. And it gets in your blood.
Yeah, yeah.
And in fact, I'm doing it to this day. I am actually doing it. To this day, I'm moving and moving and moving every, not out of choice. Don't get bored. I don't get bored either. It's just like, you know, I fancy something new. Yeah. But working in the office, this is we're getting to the crux of it now, because
we're getting to the blooming point.
Yeah. So my dad always took me walking when I was a kid. I didn't like it. You know, we've all, you know, if anyone's got children out there, you know, trying to take a 12-year-old, so it must have happened in lockdown for so many people. Trying to take, you know, you've got that one walk a day, and you're trying to take a teenager just to get them out of the house, and they're like, no, I don't like it. We'll be there, yeah. And I was one of them. But then my dad we did a mountain, because mum and dad, even though they were walkers, they were never really Lake District mountain people. And we did one, and it was like, oh, look at that, you know, at the top. I can remember me and my brother, it was the only time we raced ahead up front, because we were near the top, you know, leaving my mum was the pack horse. The flask and, you know, things you would normally take on a day walk. My dad had us taking it all up this mountain, I remember.
But do you know what, though? Let me tell you what I think is, it's all those things that you said before yourself. We don't need that. We don't know. What have you got that in there for? And then you get stuff, you're like, oh, have you got that flask of soup? Have you got those pork pies? Have you got that kick? Oh, have you got those wet wipes? Oh, we did. So glad you brought those at the end. Yeah. Anyway,
I remember it clearly. I remember it was Connie Snow Man as well, which, you know, it's close to my heart for that reason amongst many. But that was before I joined the army. So I did actually start to, if it was a mountain, it was kind of fun.
Yeah.
It was different. It was like, you know, my dad's taking us on an adventure. You know, he wasn't plodding through the rain, through the peat to the Pennines. But I just, even though I love that now, I walk in the rain over the Pennines. Because I lived there as well. And I used to hate this place. It was dull and wet and muddy. But yeah, so that when I get out of the army.
So I was just going to say, it's amazing what you choose when it's your choice. And it's amazing what you don't want when you don't have a choice.
Yeah.
Just that. Anyway, carry on.
That's teenagers to a teen. I've got 5 kids. I know. But it's kind of. So when I got out of the army and I was putting on all this weight, I realized that the army, it was all about goals, because you were always looking for the next promotion, looking for the next opportunity, looking for the next. You're always striving. And I realized that sitting behind a desk, even though my aptitude was doing me well, without blowing my own trumpet, it was doing me well, but it still wasn't fulfilling me. So I just put my name down for Kilimanjaro and lost all the weight in training, and it just, it was a buzz. It was just a buzz, because I'd moved then to the Pennines, near Oldham, Saddleworth. So I actually started I had 2 dogs that weren't running dogs. I had Basset hounds at the time. They were proper hiking dogs, bless them, but they tried. And I was just like, I found myself just going out almost every day, walking, hiking. Doesn't matter how far, just something. Going to the gym every lunchtime, eating properly, and it just felt good. It really felt good. Not in a, you see these marathon runners and they're getting, it's like a drug to them.
Yeah.
It's just that with hiking, I was finding that not only are you getting the exercise, you're getting the thrill of being out there and up the tops. And
all that space as well, and
so it's like even my favorite climbs, I'll go and do them, purposely in different seasons, because it's completely different every time you do it. It is completely different.
Which is your favorite in the UK? Which is your favorite? I think I might remember this answer, but I'm not the only one talking to you.
Yeah, in the UK, my favorite is Helvellyn Striding Edge. Without a doubt. I've done that loads of times.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. That's taken me right back, because that comes down into like I know most of them do, into a stream river, doesn't it?
Glen Reading.
Yeah.
Ullswater. Yeah, starting at Ullswater up to the Striding Edge. I mean, that is different every time you do it. I mean, it's just exhilarating. You got the edge. It's just not a plod up and a plod down.
Yeah.
So you put up the side of the mountain, and then suddenly you're there, and you can see the summit ahead. You've got the town below you. Then you're going over Striding Edge, and you've got the drop, down either side, which is, I just love it, scrambling over there. And then you've got actually physical climb to the top, where it's not rock climbing, it's not lethal, but you still need your hands to scramble up. And then the summit area is just amazing, because from the top of there, you can see over the whole Lake District looking the other way, which you don't get on the climb up. But then you've got Swirl Edge on the way down. And it's just full. It's variety. I like variety.
Yeah. And do you take groups there?
Yes, I do. Yeah. I'm starting up guiding people on the mountains, and even flat walks, all kinds of walks. It's not just about mountains now. So it's kind of,
What do people get if they go on one of your walks? I mean, I'm guessing they get, great conversation, a little bit of knowledge about the area, a lot of safety, a lot of encouragement. But what would you? That's what I'm guessing, to look at you and speak to you the couple of times we've spoken. Well,
the reason I started it up is social media is my main thing, and that's what got me doing it more and more and more. But when people come, I look at the demographic that come on a guided walk that I do, and you find it's people that have maybe tried a rambling club and it's too clicky, or people are going too fast and they feel uncomfortable because they're getting left behind, and they're like, you wouldn't want to associate yourself with people like that. And then some things look a bit too serious or too expensive or this, that, and the other. But because I'd say 90% of the people that come on my guided weekends or walks are first timers. Generally, first time.
And then I feel like though with you, people would want to do the next one and the next one and the next one.
Yeah. So
like,
I think I was telling you last time we spoke. I just remember this one lady, and if she's watching, I won't mention her name because she might remember. I did a guided walk, and it was a hill. It was a hill. It was supposed to be, some of the walks that I take, it's a nice 6 miles, nothing steep, nothing strenuous, but some small hills have the most amazing views and the most amazing experiences on the way. So it's not about a race to the top. It's all about everybody having a good time. And I do use the word social when I'm marketing. So it's a social weekend walking retreat. It's a social guided walk.
That puts an image in my mind of walking with a bottle of wine. I mean, I don't even know why I say that, because I'm not a drinker. But
it's about walking at the slowest person. So basically, I probably do put off the extremists. Come on, let's go. We're not going to look at the beautiful nature of the rivers. We just want to get to the top and down as fast. I'm doing the army point now. But it's the fast. It's not about going fastest to the top, fastest to the bottom. It's about enjoying it, meeting new people, because you could have a brain surgeon and a bus driver on the same walk. It doesn't matter that it's talking about the lives, and it's good to see. Sometimes I stand back and go, look at that. And then, so for instance, I took this group up, and this lady, and it was a small hill, but we took our time. We had a picnic on the way up. Blah, blah, blah. We got to the top, and she just burst into tears. Absolutely burst into tears. And because you could see that, there was just one town at the bottom of the hill, and you could see from miles. Luckily it was a blue sky day, which you don't normally get in Northumberland. It was, and she was just in floods of tears, and she's just like, "Thank you. I've never ever climbed anything." Now, she's not said anything like that on the way up. But the joyful thing is now, a few years later, all I see on her Facebook stream is hiking and climbing. That's all I see.
I tell you, I think that for people, getting to the top of a hill can represent overcoming a personal challenge or a personal belief. We never know what that hill represents to somebody, however small or big the hill is. Before they set off, before they even book you, some people may be thinking, I'm not going, and I'll lose my money, I'm not bothered, I'm not going to go, I don't feel ready for it. Oh, I think I've got a cold. Then we start creating the excuses. And then so for people to break through thinking, I don't really know where I'm going to park, what if I don't get on with anybody, the stuff that gets in people's minds before they go, that they have to break through in order to get outside the car and start the walk with you. And then when they're walking, some running commentary that goes through their mind is like, what if I hold everybody back? What if I can't do it? What if we have to turn around? And then when they get to the top, it represents something in their life. It represents, oh, right, well, next time I go to do X, Y, and Z in my life, I'm just going to remember that walk. All I needed to do was go steady, go at my own pace, breathe in and out.
I remember
just focus on my own walk.
You just reminded me of a group I took up Helvellyn, and I remember doing the brief at the beginning. It was a camping weekend, that was actually, and it was like, has anybody ever, and none of them climbed a hill, and I'm like, right, have I got my insurance sorted?
Disclaimer.
I thought this is going to be a long day, but it's a fun one. It's a challenge solution. So it was like really slow, really briefing them on stride and edge, and I'm thinking, luckily I've got the qualifications and it's just some, like, literally you had, I don't know if you've been up stride and edge when it's busy, but it can be a bottleneck. It's a bottleneck. Now, I don't like it when people are trying to rush to get past. There's no pressure. If you're only there once, you're there to enjoy it. And these people, and they were all having moments, not bad ones, just moments, because it's now the right time to tell you I'm scared of heights. But it's about helping them. Then you can do this, you can do it. There are ways round. You don't have to walk on the knife edge though. See, there's this misconception that you're on a knife edge. You're not. There's ways around it and helping them. So if someone's struggling, just help them.
And not only can they do it, you are doing it. Yeah. No, not only can you do it, but you are doing it. What you're telling yourself isn't congruent with what you're experiencing because you are doing it. But anyway, carry on. Carry on.
No, but it's.
I'm over infusing with you. I should remember this is your interview.
No, you're interviewing. You're dropping notes in. But it's kind of for me. It's not always about height. I've done that. That's what I mean. When I got out of the army and lost all that weight, blah, 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 social media kicked off because of it. Because it was in the days when social media was invented. Somebody invented the iPhone. Steve Jobs.
Yeah,
and
that.
It coincided with Twitter being formed and the ability to post pictures from your phone to the internet. Now, everyone's doing it now. With people look at Instagram, you can post pictures all day, but at the time, nobody was. So I was lucky. I was in the right place at the right time doing the right thing. So I was hiking and training around Saddleworth and beyond. And I was like, oh, there's a picture. Poof, put it on the internet. It's like, oh, so when I was climbing Akon Kuga in the Andes, it's again right place, right time. I couldn't see anything because it was all being done by satellite phone. So I was
but there are people watching. Surprisingly, I don't say that in a way. There are people watching. Can you believe it? But I want to talk about Akon Kuga, but I want to just shout out to who's joined us. Hi, Roz, Lyndon, Tracy, Jan. Do you know Jan Quinnileven? I think.
Hi, Jan.
Yes. And Linda and more people, but I can't see the name. So welcome everybody. Akon Kuga. So I'm taking a group to base camp Everest in October, and so some of the ladies from that will be watching you today. Just explain what and where Akon Kuga is. It's a lovely word, isn't it? Akon Kuga.
Akon Kuga is the highest mountain outside the Himalayas. It's in Argentina. It's 7,000 meters,
which is 23
I don't know what it is.
Feet. I do think so. It's about, I think it's 23,000, 7,000 meters, 3.3.
Yeah, it's 3-week climb. Yeah, virtually.
And there's some technical climbing in it, isn't there?
Not really, actually. No, it's
no ropes and crampons and ice hacks.
Oh, you need crampons and ice hacks, but you don't
need that. You need that for striding edge.
It's not like the Alps. Oh, I tried. Oh, Mont Blanc. No, I would see again. See, there you go. I've got goals where I'm like, I'm not sure about that. Because the Alps is a completely different beast. But so I tip my hat to anyone that does Alp. I've got a mate, another Paul, that does all the Alp stuff, and I'm like, ooh. I say I like my terra firma mountains.
Terra firma. What does that mean?
Feet on the ground. There's nothing worse when we were even just training for Mont Blanc. So you climb it, you've got a 50-meter climb. It's a wall of ice. You're 3,000 meters or whatever above Chamonix, down below. So if you look over your shoulder, you're looking straight back down to Chamonix. And you're on a rope. Some idiot's gone up without a rope first to put the rock climbing stuff in. And all you've got...
Yeah, the rope setter up.
Little axes. And you've got spikes sticking out the front of your boot. And that's the only thing connecting you to the mountain.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
No, it's a good adrenaline rush.
What's it called? Terra firma.
Yeah.
Just so that I know to say that to any is it terra firma? Because if it's not terra firma, I'm not doing it.
I like my feet on the terra. No, so that was, but again, that was an experience, and there's more to it than that.
I interrupted you though about Akon Kuga.
Akon Kuga. Yeah.
You were saying a story about Akon Kuga.
I said I about the right place and the right time. I was posting pictures to the internet, so I had about 10,000 followers when I set off, and then 3 weeks later I had 100,000, which wouldn't happen.
Unbelievable.
Probably
would. Did I? I bet it would. For you, did I read correctly that you are or were considered the world's #1 travel blogger? No, have I got that wrong?
You've been reading the Daily Mail.
Have I been reading some old stuff? Is that so? Yes.
Yeah, that's in its time, because everybody's their own niche. There's a lot of life coaches around. There's a lot of travel bloggers around now. There's a lot of I don't call myself a professional photographer. I use photography to help to share my story. But at that time, some algorithms had me as number one. Yeah. But that was there. I just enjoy what I'm doing now. I'm a jack of all trades now.
So, in terms of places you've been that blew your mind, like you went and you just thought, I can't believe my eyeballs get to see this. Where would you say that? And I'm talking about walking now. I'm not talking about horses you've been looking at, or dogs you've been looking at, or fine ladies you've been looking at. I'm talking about mountains.
Mountains. Two places spring walking. Iceland.
Right. What was it about that?
If somebody said, here's a load of money, go and spend it a month hiking somewhere, I would say Iceland. Any time of the day.
Is it hilly? Is it flat? What's it like? Describe it.
It is difficult to explain. It's volcanic, because everyone thinks of Iceland as, 70% of the people in that country live in Reykjavik, one town. So the rest of it is just volcanic landscape, from ancient volcanic eruptions to ones that are currently happening. So I was lucky. It was about a year after that eruption that grounded all the flights.
Oh yes.
Don't ask me to spell it yet.
Ash.
Don't ask me to name the volcano. It begins with an E. It's got J's and Y's in it. But it's kind of we climbed it while we were there. And it was just surreal to sit there. But Iceland, we did the Laugavega hiking trail, which is a famous hiking trail there. It's 3 days. And it's basically walking over the highlands of the middle bit of Iceland. And you've never seen landscape. I've never seen landscapes like it since. And I just want to go back. I want to go back actually to explore more. It's just the landscapes are so unique and huge. It's hard to explain, because you can be walking by and you're just smelling sulfur coming out of the ground, and then you've got something that probably erupted thousands of years ago that solidified into this weirdly shaped. It was just incredible. It's just incredible. And doing it in June when it's 24-hour sunlight is fun and a challenge at the same time.
Why? Just to explain.
Because we were camping, and I don't know, anyone out there that's camped probably knows you do wake up in the middle of the night. But, your body clock says, oh, it's dark, I'm just going to roll over, go back to sleep. But when you wake at 2 a.m. and the sun's beating through the side of your tent, your body goes, it's time to get up and go. Like, no, it's only 2 o'clock. It's just little things like that. You don't realize how much your body clock depends on darkness to sleep.
Yeah, of course. And
especially after a few days.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you go into Reykjavik on a night out, and that's even weirder when you come out of the pubs at 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. And everyone's doing the usual staggering around, and the sun's still up. Yeah, but there you go. Yeah, go on. I digress.
No, you don't. It's good. Would you lead a group to Iceland, or would you just go for your own holiday?
I am looking at doing foreign group stuff.
Foreign.
There's a lot, trips abroad.
Foreign. I love that Lancashire accent. We're going to do some foreign
stuff. Yeah, so I have looked at it, but there's a lot of it's not as easy to.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things like ABTA and.
But actually, you could organise it and get a travel company to do your booking.
Yeah.
So you're the.
It's strange you say that, because there are a few things we're looking at doing, especially in Europe, because Europe is just, I talk about Iceland. If you said what's your second favorite, I mean, New Zealand.
I was going to say that actually.
New Zealand. Oh, yeah. So again, New Zealand, it's like here, it's like Britain. Somebody might come to Britain, hike Devon. They might go and hike and think that's the hiking terrain of Britain. Or they might only do the Lake District, but they don't know about the Yorkshire Dales. They don't know about the Peak District. They don't know about the South Downs. So people have a conception. So it's the same as I want to go back to Iceland and do a different hike. because I might have only seen Iceland. That is my impression of Iceland. So when I did New Zealand, I did the Milford Trail. So I was quite spoiled. Another 3-day trek, and you literally ended at Milford Sound at Mitre Peak, which is just, it was just an incredible hike. And I learned so much as well, because the guide was brilliant, all about the nature and the birds that you were seeing, the flightless birds and the rats and the storks and why you got, it was just incredible. But, there's more to New Zealand than Milford Sound.
Yeah.
And there's more hiking to be done. So there's always an inspiration to go back. You can't say you've just done it.
And so if you see me looking down, I'm looking down, catching the questions and the comments.
Fire
Jan says,
away.
Say that again.
Fire away.
Fire away. I thought you said you were eye rolling. Glad I clarified. Jan says, New Zealand, totally amazing, stunning, beautiful. Anybody that's watching, please fire your questions through for Paul, and I will ask him. So we'll pick his brains, his expertise, whilst we have him to ourselves. So please send your questions in. I've got some. You also love the Yorkshire Three Peaks, don't you?
Yeah. The Yorkshire Three Peaks is one of them. As I've got older, I've appreciated with the blogging. So I did it to get fit originally. So I was doing it to get fit. So there was a bit of speed involved and a bit of, not running, fell runner. Oh, yeah. Tip my hat to fell runners.
Have you seen them? I've made the mistake. I've made the mistake of doing, being over there. There's been a couple of times when I've been doing all three on the day that they're doing their fell running run. And they're just, the way I saw them going up Whernside was just clawing chunks off the front of it to get, I felt like I was sleepwalking. They were so fast.
It's like when you look at the world record for the Yorkshire Three Peaks, and it's not much beyond, it's the length of a marathon with 3 mountains. And, I think the record's 3 hours 10 or something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I remember speaking to some fell runners. I was asking them what their motivation was. And I'm like, I was in a pub in the Leeds. I said, why, apart from why do you do it, you madman? But it's
I'm really glad you clarified that, because I imagined you jogging alongside one on the way up one of them saying, what's your motivation? And then you quickly changed that image when you said, I was in the pub in the Lake District when I asked one.
I was saying, like, if a fell runner can do the Yorkshire Three Peaks in just over, not long after 3 hours, why don't you do the London Marathon? Because without the mountains, but I got a full education on it being a completely different discipline. So in the same process that Mo Farah couldn't then go and do the Three Peaks.
But I want to know what he said to you, but I'm also guessing, because I like guessing. I'm also guessing that part of it was, it's not actually, the priority isn't actually the time that they do it in. It's about the space and the freedom and the views. Having said that, though, if they're doing it as part of the challenge day, there's not a lot of space and freedom. They're all clambering to the same ancient path.
I've got a friend that you'd be interested in speaking to, actually. I was on a walk with her the other week. She does triathlons and these super, what do you call them? I don't know. Where you swim for so many miles, then, in a lake or something.
Ironman.
Yeah, and I always, at first I thought, you're nutter. But then the more you get to know these people, it is about that. It's, because I thought, if I go on a walk with you, you're just going to be wanting to go 100 miles an hour. And I'm like, I'm a travel writer, blogger. So I want to stop, take pictures, appreciate the surroundings, which we'll get back to the Yorkshire Three Peaks and I want to say, but it's kind of, so, but it was funny because when I went on a walk with her, she was the same. It's all about the surroundings. Look at that, look at that, look at that. So she's got the goals and she wants to be fit and she wants to be super. And yeah, she does walk briskly, but she's also, it's better than running around a block or a park a few times for her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get that.
And yeah, so, that's her goal. My goal was to get to the top of mountains. Her goal is to go and do these Ironman competitions, and I wish her the best of luck because I won't be doing an Ironman competition tomorrow. But the Yorkshire Three Peaks, I use that as training. So when if I, for instance, I am thinking of putting my name down for another altitude mountain soon. So it's like, right, I need to get back to the Yorkshire Three Peaks. So it's just like to do that once every 2 or 3 months. And I've never done it. I must have done it, 20, 30 times, maybe even more. But it's never been the same each time. Never been the same.
Yeah.
Good old British weather. Yeah.
And you like camping on them as well. We've done a couple of similar things, although you're a completely different league to me, and I barely even dare say that I've done some of the things, but I've done the Yorkshire Three Peaks probably 10 times. I've taken a couple of different companies that I've been coaching. I've taken the leadership team, and we've wild camped, found somewhere on Ingleborough to camp, and cooked a meal and stuff. I mean, I've always been the only girl. I'm probably a bit unfitted at the time, but I've got ideas above my station. But it's just such to do what, in fact, one of the times I just took the leadership team to Ingleborough, actually, and the purpose of that was to do coaching all the way up and to get them to set goals in a way that would be far more exciting than they would do in the boardroom with a flip chart, and bring the team closer together. And it was just a brilliant experience. But for them, what it did was it bonded them in a way that was visible back in the office, and it put all the differences to one side, and everybody helped each other out. And the kind of goals that they set, like the business goals that they set, were much more exciting and inspiring than they ever would have done doing it at a task in the office. And I think there's just something about being on the top of the world, deciding what you want for your life, rather than putting the telly on pause and writing a couple of notes in your phone. Do you know what I mean? Both goals.
No, it is very true. I mean, the Yorkshire Three Peaks. It's again. It's always, I always seem to be if I do a group around there, it's there's a lot of work for a guide to do, especially when it's first timers or people that are new to the outdoors, because they might think, oh, it's 20 odd miles in 12 hours, but there's an element of work to be done. But again, I do it. When I do it, generally the demographic is, it's not about doing it in 8 hours. It's not about doing it in 10.
Not doing it.
My aim is to get them around safely, so they've enjoyed it in under 12 hours, which is the official challenge. Yeah. So generally, when I'm taking a group, it's generally been about 11 and a half, just have that half an hour spare. And nobody's broken a leg, no one's twisted an ankle, nobody's, ill. But, it's just, again, it's exhilarating because, the feet might feel like the boots are full of glass, which is generally the number one thing in the Yorkshire Three. But even my feet suffer. They just stop and they go, wow, I've done that.
For me, it's the boot bang coming downhill.
That last downhill is. There's the reason I do it for training is the mental side.
Yes, the endurance.
So when I'm guiding, I kind of, I'm not one of these like, it's just around this corner, knowing full well it's a mile away or something like that. You just can't. It doesn't work. That it's an old army trick, but it doesn't work. Oh, we're nearly there. No, give people the correct expectations. So when I'm doing a brief, I mean, you've done it. Anyone that's done the Yorkshire Three Peaks knows that you can, if you're doing it in under 12 hours, you go up the first one, Penny Grant, from Morton and Ribblesdale, in under an hour. But to a first timer that doesn't know where they're going and what's left, they're thinking, oh, that's easy. We've only done one. We've done one already. And then they don't realize it's like 8 to 10 miles before you start climbing the next one.
But do you know what? I've done it in a different order, because when the first time I ever did it was on the hottest day of the year. A friend had rang me, it was a friend's husband, knew I wanted to do it and said, can you be ready in the morning? We'll go tomorrow. And I was like, yeah. I mean, I was in a wine bar at the time. I was like, yeah. I'm up for that. And so, and it turned out to be the hottest day of the year. And as you know, water is the heaviest thing we carry. And drinking it straight away to get it unloaded doesn't work.
Yeah.
But for me, when we've done Pennygent, so for you that are listening and watching that don't know the Yorkshire Three Peaks, it's Pennygent, Whernside and Ingleborough. And you walk the first mountain and then you walk the 11 miles between, then you do Whernside, and I think it's about 3 miles between Whernside and Ingleborough. And then Ingleborough takes you right back down to the village.
Which people don't realise it's 7-8 miles in itself.
Yeah, it's
you
really...
You get that euphoric feeling that they've done the last one when they stood on Ingleborough. There's a sign saying Orton and Riversdale, but it's a long way down from there.
It is. And so when we were coming down Whernside, all I could see ahead was when you see that really steep zigzag. So it looks like that. And for the last 3 hours, all I could see is, oh my God, I've got that to do. I'm never going to do it. I've got that to do. And I had this experience that lots of people get where your legs start shaking. And I'd seen people drop out, because I did the National Three Peaks years ago. And our leader had to drop out because his legs had gone with that shaking. And I had to tell myself something different. So my legs had started shaking. And I looked at Mark and I said, oh, look. And he looked at me and I went, don't say anything. I'm just going to tell myself that is strength massively channeling into my legs, because we've got nowhere to go either way. You know where we are. We're still going to get back to Horton, and then you're coming down Whernside. It's 6 and 2 3s, and so anyway, I did it, loved it, did it. Was broken woman for a few days, having that been my first experience. Hottest day of the year. I was drinking out of the river. I was so thirsty. But then I decided when I took groups that what I would do is I would try it in different ways. And I decided with one group that we would start at the bottom of Whernside. Mm-hmm. And so that when we'd done 2 mountains quite quickly. So your theory about, get Pennygent done, you ticked it off, everybody's motivated. I thought, well, we'll do Whernside and get Whernside, and then you're looking at that, you're thinking, I've still got strength in my legs to do Ingleborough. We'll get those 2 done quite quickly, and then people think, well, it's nearly done. And then they've got all the hill walking done when they've got that last 11 miles to do. And that was an interesting way of doing it. I enjoyed doing it that way.
People do that way. When I've been wild camping up there, I've been coming across people. Where are you going? Oh, we started at they start with Whernside because of the parking as well.
Yeah. And the coffee van, although you can have a little
the
coffee
bacon butties and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, that, if you're doing Pennygent first, that burger van at the viaduct at Ribblehead Viaduct, that's the halfway point.
That's a lethal place to stop.
Whernside when you're doing halfway
when you're full of burger. And so we've got a couple of questions.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah. Lyndon says, when would be the best time to walk the Lycian Way in Turkey? Have I said that right? Lycian.
You know what? That's a walk I've always wanted to do.
Is it?
Now, for me, that kind of country and terrain. So Morocco is so I've done a bit of climbing and trekking in Morocco. And one thing I will say, if you want to enjoy it, don't do the height of summer, that kind of terrain and country. Just don't do your June, July, August. If you're going with a company, they'll generally try and push you to the bookends of the season.
Yeah.
Which you just enjoy it more. It might be tempting to go when it's hot and sunny, but it's not enjoyable when you do it. So when I was in the Atlas Mountains, for example, it was just, I think it was July or August, and it just wasn't nice because you could never carry enough water, and you were just thinking about cooling down rather than anything and enjoying it. Whereas when I did a trek there, I think it was September, October, it was even January. It was amazing. It was amazing. You appreciate them. You just appreciate it. And Marrakesh is quieter as well if you're in Morocco. So you're
not a Marathon des Sables man then?
No.
So
As a challenge, if somebody said, I bet you couldn't do it, I'd be like, and see, that's another thing.
You would never rise to such a ridiculous challenge when somebody says you couldn't.
If somebody paid for me to do it, I'd be like, you know what?
All right.
You know what? Yeah, if you put your money on the table, I'll show you I can do it. It's that
I'll do it, yeah.
person. Because I've got goals that I probably never complete, but I've always got a goal. You know, I've always wanted to follow in Scott the Antarctic steps. I've always wanted to do that since I was a lad, and I learned about it all at school. Is it going to happen? I don't know. Win the lottery,
yeah. Let's manifest it. But so to answer Lyndon's question, then, so basically, she's better off going April, May, September, October.
Spring or autumn, yes.
Yeah, and then Jan says, how long is the walk at Helvellyn and back? Do you go back or do you do a circuit?
I do a circuit, but it's the same anyway if you go there and back. Now, mountains, it's difficult because of that. It's 5 miles there and back, but it could take 4, 5, 6, 7 hours. So you can't gauge it because you're going uphill all the time. So, you know, you've got that going uphill. So 5 miles on the flat, you can get a lot further, a lot faster. So I've never, ever used distance on mountains. That's one thing I don't do. And I don't know many people that do. You gauge it. So, for instance, when I'm writing about a climb on my blog, I will put approximate time required, beginning to end. So Helvellyn is a 4 to 8 hour walk, depending on the standard.
And just tell people what your website name is.
Boldhiker.com, because that's what I am, the bold hiker. Yeah.
I really struggle not to call you the bold biker. Do many people say that? I have to rule it out before I say the bold hiker. I have to rule out bold biker.
I know, anyway. And that was all. I mean, obviously, my blog, because how did it come about? I think I was deciding what to call it, because Twitter was my main thing, and I thought I need to expand on my stories. And I was like, what am I going to call it? And somebody just called me the bold hiker. I was like, all right, that'll do.
Stuck. Yeah, stuck.
Yeah,
Tracy's coming with me to Everest, and she's put, how do you prep your feet for a big challenge? So this is your feet for a big challenge. I would say several firewalks, Tracy.
Firewalk.
Hey, don't you be laughing.
The most important bit of hiking kit ever is your boots. Yeah, I would never. So if I'm going to Everest, when are you going?
October this year.
You should all have your boots now already.
Yeah.
Or getting them. So and you're wearing them often. Now, when I'm taking people on the Yorkshire Three Peaks and I'm giving advice, I don't give orders. It's advice. It's like so the Yorkshire Three Peaks, for instance, or a multi-day hike, which is what you're going to be doing. Not just your boots should fit around your feet. People just buy hiking socks the day before. Hiking socks, if you wear them for weeks inside the boots and train with them, it makes a whole world of difference to your feet. The socks. You need to people don't realize you need to break socks in as well as boots. It's just a massive tip. That.
What's your thoughts on sock liners? Worth it, not worth it?
Personal preference. I don't use them.
I mean, I forget. I got them, but I forget to use them. I look at them and think, what are these for?
It's a personal preference, but the one thing about hiking socks is just break them in as much as you do your boots. Really,
yes,
honestly.
That's a really good tip. One of the things I've never had. Oh, did you hear that hollowness? Can you hear that? I've bought a few pairs of boots, but one of the things I do when I get new boots is I put Compeed on before I wear the boots. I put the Compeed in all the areas I think the boots are likely to rub, and you know the second skin. Yeah. Oh, you were just looking at me blank. I don't know whether you're reading your emails or
because my camera's up there, but I'm looking at you on my screen.
I'm boring you with something.
I'm intently listening. That's what I'm doing.
but I put the Compeed on, and then I'm protecting my skin rather than repairing my skin. And I've even bought boots the day before one of the times I did the Yorkshire Three Peaks. I know, and carried my old boots in my rucksack. It was heavy, but and so never got any blisters. But I make sure that I put Compeed all the way around. But I think another good tip, and I'm sure you were going to say it, leading the witness, Your Honour, which is don't have any bloody pedicures. Keep your hard skin.
Yeah, no, that is true. Yeah, yeah. You've forgotten
what you know, haven't you?
Yeah, but it's like I'll go back to the Compeed thing. I always have Compeed on me because you always get that, especially on the Yorkshire feet. I can't reiterate how much you just got to look after your feet, because no matter how often you do it, my feet still hurt when I do the Yorkshire Three Peaks. But if you buy a cheaper pair of boots and they rub all the time, it's the fitting of them.
Yeah.
You've got to I spend so much time before I actually purchase a pair of boots. I do not buy them over the internet. I get them and I try them on. And otherwise you will need Compeed every time you use them.
Well, some shops will also let you keep them on whilst you walk around, like go outdoors. I've really surprised me with the service I've had, and it's all down to pot luck that you get somebody who's really interested in walking, and I don't take advice off anybody about my boot. I bought 2 pairs of boots from there. I've also been up to Richmond to the boot makers or the boot engineers and got them from there years ago. They were heavy to wear, that pair that I got, but they let you keep them on and walk around the shop as you continue doing your shopping. If they're good, they let you do that. But if your feet are not happy, that ruins your entire experience, because everything that you're feeling is filtered through, everything that you're experiencing is filtered through pain. So
when you're doing your Everest base camp, you've all got your boots, you've all started to break your socks, and it just takes all that. It should take that all that away. So it's like putting on slippers in the morning, basically, by the time you're doing it. And that just there's another question.
Yeah. Right. So then we've got, Tracy said, ha ha ha. I think that's when you laughed at me suggesting firewalking, or maybe it was me suggesting firewalking to help us speak. You don't know me very well yet, do you? Because I'm actually serious. So now Tracy said, can't wear wool. Any suggestions?
Wool.
Oh, and then Jan, hang on. Jan's answered Tracy, saying, Tracy, I sell wool socks, which are really amazing. Private message me your address. I'll send you a pair.
So she's in the wool trade, actually.
Yeah, she's saying, though, this is really generous, Jam. I struggle with wool socks as well, Jam. I don't. I love your offer to Tracy, though. She said, Tracy, I sell wool socks, which are really amazing. Private message me your address and I'll send you a pair just to try if you like. And then Tracy said, allergic to wool. Right. What were you going to say?
No, obviously there's a lot of synthetic stuff out there, but with footwear, it's what you get what you pay for. Unfortunately, it is. It is that kind of thing. But so I'll go back to boots for a second. Now I've got 3 or 4 pairs on the go. I've got a dog walking pair. I've got Riverside. We've all done. If you've got dogs, you're walking in the mud in the middle of January in the dark. And I'm like, I don't want to keep trashing my actual hiking boots. So there's high tech, for instance. There's high tech hiking boots, which they might be bargain basement, under £50 price, but they're brilliant for a season of walks. I find, they might not last more than one season for me, but I find them, you could go and spend £300-400 on something that'll last 5 seasons. But for my all day, every day, I use some LL Bean ones, I use some Mindle ones. But I'll go back to boots because, there's a anyway, there's a. I'm not going to say that word.
Easy for you to say. What's it rhyme with?
No, I'm going I'm going to. There's more people buying shoes now and things like that, walking shoes. And call me old-fashioned, but there's reasons why I don't wear hiking shoes myself on mountains. I get the comfort, but I've seen too many ankles damaged because of it. I don't know. I mean, if somebody's so when I'm taking people on Yorkshire Three Peaks, that's my only number one rule. Please wear boots, not hiking shoes.
Yeah,
it's on my.
I mean, one of the things I've said to the group is our challenge is not to get injured between now and when we go. In the getting fit and ready and endurance and strong, our challenge is not to lose focus and tipple on a rock and make sure that, because it's so easy to do, isn't it? I've had shin splints that have taken me out of training for a month or longer. That's been horrific. Sore ankles. So it's and I now wear boots that come past my ankle. I never used to. I used to just wear the boots that didn't tie up around the ankle. Do you know what? I'm not very technically explaining this.
No, they're like a half height kind of ones. Yeah, but I'm just. It's just out of experience. I've seen too many ankle injuries, and just putting a pair of boots on instead of hiking shoes. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've got hiking shoes, but that's when I'm walking like a riverside walk with the dogs or something like that. I'm not going to come across rocks and boulders. That's just a tip. It's not.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good tip.
That's the beauty of the outdoors. It's all things to all people as well. So it's kind of there's no law to wear boots. I mean, some people wear them. It's like gloves for your feet. Have you seen them? I'm like, fair enough. Fair enough. Got 5 toes. I can see 5 toes, but wrapped in some kind of.
I've agreed with my group that we'll do the Yorkshire Three Peaks on the 21st of June, and you're very welcome to join us. It's a bloody long way away, and I'm guessing I'll have done it before then. But what tips have you got? What time is it? Oh, it's gone 8:30. It's been amazing. We'll have to get you back for some more. What tips have you got for people that have never gone walking? Perhaps might even think, oh, it's boring, it's too slow, that kind of thing, which is a misconception, isn't it? It's not until you're out that you feel really liberated.
Well, I'll say again, it's all things to all people. Now, do you know the media? The media winds me up. They wind everybody up. It's this everyone's got Fitbits and things of that ilk, and so the media or somebody makes up a story that it's a myth, this 10,000 steps. You shouldn't. It's just a miss. It's just something to get people to buy these things. It's not. It makes people walk at least 10,000 steps. It's like, so my motto is, if you've never done it before, anything, go somewhere different, somewhere a riverside walk, and walk half a mile or 1 mile and see something different, or find your local hill that's easy to navigate.
Yeah.
So
like the White Horse, something like the White Horse, or
go to the White Horse because it's an easy circular, or even like round the boundary of Benningborough Hall or something like that. It is. It's a gorgeous 2-mile circuit. You can't get lost, and basically it opens your eyes. I mean, I know York and that area, but you can go to the Wolds. The Wolds doesn't have big mountains, but my word, you can get above, and so. And then as soon as you start wanting to get more and more experience, there's so for instance, on my site, especially now, I'm starting to put at the bottom of every walk where you park, the postcode, and a GPX file. Now, if you've got a smartphone, you can read a GPX file. So gone are the days where you need to learn how to read this big map. It's like in the wind and the rain and trying to read this big map. Now, I'm not saying you have to have GPX, but the technology today, if you've got a fully charged phone, there's many apps out there that can read. The Ordnance Survey app is phenomenal. And if you go into it costs, so for a pro, I use Ordnance Survey. to create my walks. So I know every step. If I go wrong or I'm likely to go wrong, I can just pick up my watch or pick up my phone and it'll tell me, Paul, you're an idiot. You should be heading that way. Literally, it's like a sat nav in your pocket, basically. So ordnance, if you go into the Ordnance Survey mapping service, there's walks that everybody's created and done, and they put them up there for everyone to follow. So you can then put that onto your phone and follow it. And your phone will say, turn left, turn right at the fork and pass. You'll never go wrong. Never go wrong. As long as, but the downside to that is keep your phone charged at all times.
Yeah.
Emergency as well.
Yeah. Well, there's also
yeah, go on, sorry.
Oh, well, I was just going to say, I heard it whilst we're on the phone. I have to interrupt when I hear it because then I forget later that I wanted to say it. I did hear a hiking tip for people that they should leave a message. They should leave their voice message. So when you ring, that people get this message saying, "Hi, I'm walking on I'm doing Ingleborough today. So if you miss me, that's where I am." Or, in case anything happens to them, that at least if somebody's trying to get through and the phone's run out, that they know where they've gone. Do you know what I mean? Am I making sense?
You should always tell people. I mean, you should always tell people where you're going. I want, even if you live alone, there's always someone you can tell you're going somewhere.
Yeah, Facebook.
It's like that. Have you seen the film 72 Hours or whatever it's called, where he gets trapped by the true story in America? He got trapped by a rock, and nobody knew he was there, and he ended up having to chop his own arm off to get out. But it's kind of, I know, it's quite a story. But
that's nice contribution.
I know, sorry, but we're scaring people about going out hiking. And at the end of the day,
what's this wee business?
It's not about jumping straight into, climbing Helvellyn with Striding Edge. There are always groups that you can go with, but to get out and do it yourself, look what's in your area. So for me, if I lived in York, you can start on the flats and play. The River Ouse is a wonder to walk along. Get out York, head north, Poppleton, up towards Linton. Well, not Linton. You know which way I mean.
Well, yeah, you can. Yeah.
So it's just, and you'll never meet hardly another soul on the whole way, and it's just, especially in the summer when everything's in bloom. See, again, you don't need to be at the top of a mountain to enjoy the outdoors. There's something beautiful as long as you're in the countryside. But from there, you can nip into, across to Knaresborough and do the Nid Gorge, for instance. And that's very well signposted. So it's not about needing expertise in hiking. We can all walk. We can all put one foot in front of another, basically,
and just try a little commitment and then take it from there. So we've got some comments. I also want to ask something about your walk, so just bear with me. Right, we have got Tracy said bike then hike, but that was linked to something we were saying earlier. Then Roz is coming with us. Tracy and Roz are coming. Good to know. Don't know what you said there. That was good to know. Something to do with the boots and socks, I imagine, or even your GPS on the phone. Tracy says we use for biking the Garmin ones. Garmin.
Yeah, I use Garmin.
Jan says, the wool lady says, that's brilliant map advice for those of us who are geographically challenged. I'm with you, Jan.
I mean, I don't want to confuse with the GPS, because it's like a whole new technology to some people. So if you've never walked, you won't know what a GPS. GPX is a file where somebody's created a walk on a map using a GPS, or the GPS signal.
Yeah.
Literally, you download it onto your phone or you download it onto your watch via Garmin, and your phone or watch does become a sat nav for hiking.
Yeah, well, Jan says it's brilliant advice. She doesn't have to pull out one of those great big maps. Now, Roz said this when you were talking about getting trapped behind a rock, not you, but the man in America getting trapped behind a rock and needing to chop his own arm off. She said, that would happen to me. I'll chop your arm off, Roz.
I think it was 120 hours. I can't remember. It's if you're a hiker that's scared of getting stuck out, then don't watch it, basically. It's
Rosa said, any Somerset recommendations? And also Tracy says, Way of the Roses is good. And
Way of the Roses.
Do you know it? Where is it? Where is it, Tracy? Way of the Roses.
It's got to be Lancashire, Yorkshire. It's got to be a Lancashire.
It's got to be, hasn't it? It has.
It's got to be.
I like your process of deduction there.
Right. So favourite walk, right? Somerset. Ooh. Do you know?
Or maybe
Somerset is an unknown. I mean, you've got Glastonbury around that part. So Somerset, I put my hand up. It's right. That's my mission. I need to do more walks in Somerset.
I could see you thinking that. I could see you thinking that.
But if people want a challenge and get bigger and bigger with them, so because everybody wants to do the coast to coast or Hadrian's Wall. Hadrian's Wall is the easiest across country one, time wise and expense. But there's a lot of, so around your way, there's a phenomenal 50-mile walk that you could split into 3 or 4 days, the Minster Way.
The Minster Way. Right.
And it's basically across country. You start at the doors of Beverley Minster and finish at the doors of York Minster.
Oh, right.
All the way through, down through Stamford Bridge and into York. Yeah, I've done it in sections. It's lovely.
Is it? It sounds good. And Tracy's saying yes. I think she's turned into When Harry Met Sally. But about Wolds, it's the Wolds. And Ros says, with plenty of cider down now, she's tempting you. Ros has said there's plenty of cider down here. She lives in Taunton, does Ros. And
yes, yeah, nice part of the world.
And so Jan says Jurassic Coast is good to walk along as well. Jurassic Coast, where's that?
Dorset.
Dorset.
Third door in that area. Dorset.
Yeah.
It's going to be there. Yeah. I mean, the coast. The coast itself is just phenomenal to walk along. I mean, I'm currently living temporary on the coast again, which is nice. Nice change and difference. I wasn't walking the coast. Yeah, I was on the beach.
I think people should follow you on Facebook and all those other fancy dancy things like Twitter. I'm so old-fashioned. Twitter and Instagram if you're on there. And also look at your website, because your pictures are absolutely enough to make anyone fall in love with outside and the walking. And they really are.
But it's not all about walking now, obviously, because I think my latest blog post was about a canal boat trip, which was different. And that was leisurely. That was leisurely. That was slower than walking pace along the canals. But that was just another. It's about experiences. So for me, walking is the biggest experience. But around that, you can do so much more. Because I think walking and getting out there and getting to the summits makes you appreciate what's out in front of you.
Absolutely.
And it opens your mind to how small you are in the world and how much of the world you need to explore. So even if you've got a local hill, so for instance, in Saddleworth, when I lived there was a local hill. It took half an hour to get up. But from there, you can see everything else you want to do then suddenly. So the domino
those are easy yeses, aren't they? And then when you do it, you just think, right, and now I'm out and now I'm here, I can do a bit more. I think also what I found is a sense of perspective, not just in terms of the hill, but and the world, but in terms of life and kind of really internal situations, when you can be really in your head and then you start walking and suddenly you've walked off the stress, you've walked off the minutiae of something. Like the minutiae can be the thing that, and then you get out into the expanse and it's something, and it's almost like your mind expands with it.
Yeah. So for instance, so obviously, my life isn't about hiking every day. I have to earn my crust and write and sit behind a laptop and do admin, and I have to do my accounts. So there's many a day where I'm stuck here behind my laptop. But the joy, see, the dogs are not only my best friends, they become my motivation to get my ass out that door in the morning and walking. Because even though I'm a walking hiker, I might just grab coffee and start getting stuck behind my laptop. So it's not just my own motivation. The dogs, my lifestyle all evolves around. Every day I have two minimum of one and a half hour walk. So I'm walking at least 3 hours a day, even when I'm on an day.
It's just such a savior, isn't it? It really, dogs are. So Tracy's saying I follow Instagram. Jan's saying, where do you advertise your guided walks? Which is the question I was going to ask you.
They stand by. They're going to be, because due to COVID, I took, they were dropped off, but I'm in the middle of the final bit of design, so they'll be on boldiker.com. They'll be on the front page coming soon.
Lovely.
And there'll be guided walks and walking weekend retreats, which will have some, not just the walks and the social element. It's, you'll be doing dinner, bed and breakfast in some pretty amazing hotels as well. So it's a retreat.
I've heard you mention
mat reading in the evenings as well, over a few drinks, and so it's a full week. Yeah, Castle will be involved in one of them, and a very historical place in the Midlands. I'm working on one for the south as well. So
Kent Castle.
It's not a castle.
Leeds Castle, I mean, not Kent Castle.
Not a castle in the Midlands.
In fact, Leeds Castle is in Kent, which is why I said Kent Castle. But anyway, it's not that. It's not that. I'm ramblings of an old woman.
Because what I want to do with these as well is show that, because everyone does the Lake District and Yorkshire Dales, and I want to show that there's more to Britain than the Lake District and Yorkshire Dales.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned, the South Downs. I need to do more in the South Downs. I want to do more. Norfolk's flat as a pancake, but my word, it's got some stunning scenery. It's not all about going up. That's something I've learned in the years since. I can appreciate a 6-mile walk through a woodland on a river or in gorgeous fielded scenery than slogging on a mountain all day. They're both good in their own ways.
Yeah. Oh, Paul, thank you. Hang on, before you go, let's just check. Has anybody got any questions, any comments, any applause for Paul?
I'll applaud
before we go.
And thank you everyone for tuning in, by the way. Thank you.
Yeah. And so many people watch this on catch up, and I've recorded it. So if you want it for anything, you can cut me out interrupting you and use it where you like. Why would you? And I've everybody's saying thank you both, thank you. Thank you, Dad. I'm going to get you back. And maybe we, when I say get you back, that's not a threat. That was more like I'm going to invite you back. We're getting lots of lovely thank yous. I've really enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed this. I really share your enthusiasm for what you do.
I could digress for hours, by the way, into all sorts of things.
Well, it's funny because when we did, we were doing like a little snippet interview that I could share with people so they could see what was coming up, so they could really secure the date. And we chatted for over an hour. I recorded it all.
And you lost it.
I lost it. It was a bit like the universe was saying, I don't want to upset you, Lisa, but that's not airworthy. So we're just going to dispose of it for you, save you both the embarrassment and make you do it live. But I've really enjoyed it, lovely. And,
I have too. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. You've been very generous and very inspiring, really inspiring. So I'll be in touch with you next week to make sure that you've got those dates on your website. So I'll circulate them for you.
Thank you very much.
To not that you need any extra fans. I know you're a very popular man, but the more the world has of Paul Steele, the better. Does that sound like a caption or an overpromise? Right, darling. And thank you everybody for watching. I'm sending you lots of love, Paul. And I'll see you soon. See you later, lovely. Bye.